Hello, everyone. This is another episode of Open Book. I am Billy Price, co-founder of Billy Footwear. And for those out there that are not familiar with Open Book, it is the opportunity that we as the brand Billy Footwear get to share a little bit about what we're doing, but also more importantly, we get to share the stage with incredible people out there doing big, big things. And this week, I am just so excited. We have the founder of Joe Rising. We have Jamie Steffens. Jamie, welcome to Open Book.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's Jamie Stevens. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's common. It happens all the time.
Okay, good. I'm not the only one.
No.
But Jamie, I'm really excited for our conversation. There's so much about your organization that I would love to ask you about. But I guess just a starting point, could you tell us about Joe Rising?
So Joe Rising, what we do is we offer families, children who are affected by primary lymphedema, shoes for their feet. Lymphedema is a very expensive disease in order to treat it, and the shoes end up being part of that high cost. And so we just flip that bill so that way they can put that money towards other treatment that they need to stay on top of lymphedema.
Gotcha. So, lymphedema, that is, I mean, I'm a wheelchair user. I get edema in my feet, just kind of swelling. But lymphedema is something I don't really have a whole lot of. I don't really know anyone that has lymphedema. So, can you talk a little bit about what causes it and how one could get treated?
Well, you have two types of lymphedema. Secondary lymphedema, that's the most common, which affects mostly older adults who go through cancer, have lymph nodes removed, and they might have swelling on one side of their body or both. That is typically caused from your environment, right? Through an injury or cancer. Primary lymphedema is you're born with it through a genetic mutation or hereditary. And it's not just swelling. It can affect both sides of your body. It can affect all over, just one limb. And you have to treat it. There is no cure for it. And the treatment is manual lymphatic drainage, where you're manually massaging a specific way through the lymphatic vessels to move that fluid, and then compression. And you have to do it all the time, every day, for the rest of your life. It's hard. It is physical. It's a physical disease.
Boy. Well, now for Joe Rising, where did the inspiration come for starting the organization?
My daughter, she's 7 now, but in April of 2022, shortly after she turned 6, she just started mysteriously swelling. Initially, we thought maybe she injured her foot because she was in dance competition. After multiple doctors, that they could not find anything wrong, so they sent us to Little Rock Children's Hospital of Little Rock. Multiple doctors, many tests, still had no clue what was wrong with her. So they sent us on, told us, wait and see. We continued with our doctor here in town, and she's going to outgrow it. It's going to be fine. She's going to outgrow it. And of course, I didn't know. I was trusting, but at the same time, I'm like, well, her leg's getting worse. It's now bigger than the other. She can't get in her shoe anymore. So if we're going to wait this out, you're going to see me every week. So I think after a month or so, he got sick of seeing me every week, and he sent us on to a cardiologist in Bossier, Louisiana. And that doctor then said, I think this might be lymphedema. And that's how we ended up in Dallas, Texas. She was diagnosed. That took a total of 5 months to get that diagnosis. So even though we had the diagnosis, we still do not know why, like what caused this. We still don't. We traveled to Philadelphia, and we're hoping we'll be able to find those answers out soon. And when we were going through the treatment process of lymphedema, the cost of the compression garments, the cost of bandaging, all that stuff, high dollar. Insurance doesn't help a whole lot. And then the cost of traveling for her care, because there is no doctors in our area that know anything, or they just couldn't help. All of that added up. And then it came to the shoe thing. That was something that most people take for granted, is their shoes. You just walk into a store and grab a pair of shoes and go about your business. Lymphedema, you can't do that. There are certain types of brands that work, kind of, but they're going to be that high dollar, a couple $100s, and you have to buy 2 pair of different sizes to make that 1 pair. And children, they grow fast. They do not stay that same size. It's like, 4 to 6 months is their growth ratio stuff. So that's highly expensive. And I remember one specific time Joe went into a store searching for a shoe, and we found one that kind of worked. We knew it wasn't going to be long term, but it would work. And she was so excited that she could get 2 shoes. But I spent $240 to make that 1 pair. And Joe's like, this is horrible. We need to help everybody. So that's kind of where it came about. Joe Rising did. Whether she was serious, I don't know, but I thought it was an excellent idea. And that's where the wheels started turning with Joe Rising, just from that little comment she made in a shoe store.
Wow. Well, shoes, I have a connection there. So when did the Billy brand land on your radar?
So it landed about shortly after that store visit with Joe, that we found a pair of shoes that kind of worked. I saw Billy Footwear, and I have followed y'all this whole time. But she ended up, her lymphedema, because lymphedema is not one size fits all. The condition just presents differently in everybody, and hers is more aggressive. And she ended up going into a medical shoe for that year. But I followed Billy Footwear, the zipper, that I'm like, oh, this is genius. This is awesome. But of course I couldn't try it at the time because she was in bandaging. But I was ignorant to what y'all offer at that time because I didn't search hard enough. So several months ago, I started looking on y'all's website, and I found where y'all offered that single shoe size. And I'm like, oh, this is different. So I started diving in more. Then I started looking at the sizing. So I was measuring Joe with her wraps on, multi-layer wraps. And I'm like, oh, these are going to work with her wraps. We can get her out of the medical shoe, because she was wearing a regular shoe on 1 foot and then the medical shoe. And for a kid that's 7, that's not cool, you know? So whenever I found out that those shoes were going to work, we got them ordered, and we don't buy Joe a pair of shoes. We buy her a set, 1 for her unaffected foot, 1 for her compression stockings, and 1 for when she's in the wraps. They all work. They all zip. She can do it herself. I don't have to put on her shoes. Started boohooing, crying, and I was like, I'm emailing them. They have to know this. They have to know that this is a shoe that, even though you probably didn't make these for lymphedema, that, yeah, we feel like you did. We definitely feel like you did.
Oh, wow. Hearing that stuff, it always warms my heart so much. I mean,
yes,
the brand kind of came from my challenge as someone with a spinal cord injury and just not having very good hand dexterity, having to shove my foot into a shoe. So having something I could drop it in unobstructed, and then with that limited hand dexterity, zip it up. That's where it came from. But it was also a matter of trying to make something that would truly work for a huge audience, disability or not. So it's been really fun to be able to hear all the success stories, like across the board,
yes,
and regardless of ability.
Absolutely. It's because with lymphedema, their problem, their feet they have so much volume on the top. So getting that foot to go into that shoe, and then with children's sizing, they hardly ever make anything that's wide and definitely not extra wide. So to find something where it'll work getting the foot in and having that width space, hands down, the shoes we've done and experienced with Billy Footwear will always be with Billy Footwear forever. I just it's been life changing. There's a little girl we helped not too long ago. She has to have her shoes specially made in another country, and you can imagine the cost on a pair of shoes to be casted to her feet. Well, her mom sent me her sizing and asked me, "Will Billy Footwear work on my daughter?" And so I went through that sizing because I realized it's not going to help, or not all people with lymphedema are going to be able to wear these shoes, but a lot will. So I went through the sizing, and I'm like, she's going to be able to wear these shoes with her compression stockings and with her multi-layer bandaging. So you don't have to go out of country to get your shoes made for her anymore. You can wear these. She can wear these. And she just messaged me the other day, and she's like, the shoes we had made for her, they're killing her feet. You know, she's tiring out at school because they're so heavy and all this. I'm like, just wait till you get your Billy Footwear. It's going to change her life, I promise. I don't want to promise, but I mean, I see the difference in my child and other people I've talked to who use Billy Footwear. I believe in y'all so much. Everything about it. It's life changing for these babies.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jamie. And I loved how you touched on just being able to buy those different sizes to make a pair. And it's funny that there was a mom that reached out. I mean, I remember taking the call. I mean, this was when this shoe thing was just a side hustle. I mean, Darren and I still had full-time jobs, and we're just doing this thing on the side. And there was a mom that reached out saying, "Hey, could you?" There was some sort of limb difference, or maybe one foot had a brace and one didn't, and just asked the question if we could sell two individual shoes to make a pair.
Yes.
And we just said, well, sure, we'll figure it out. And we just kind of worked at our system to be able to create the process we have now, just to be able to do that. So,
well, it's a game changer for especially people in the lymphedema community. And I mean, I don't know if a lot of people know about Billy Footwear in the lymphedema community. I know a good bit does, but one of my missions now I've added to my goals is to make sure everyone hears about it, because that right there, that single shoe purchase is just game changer across the board. And I know it's not just lymphedema that helps with. There's so many other diseases that it helps with, and I just bravo to y'all. I'm just it's just awesome.
Oh, well, again, thank you. I mean, so much of our success has been through word of mouth and building relationships. So what you're doing right now, I mean, spreading the word, I mean, we just so appreciate it. And actually spreading the word, I want to make sure that people can find you. So Let me share some of these handles. Like one is, so on Facebook, everyone, it's to find out more about Joe Rising. So it's at Joe Rising on Facebook. And then on the web, it's joerising.org. And one thing, Jamie, I want to make sure to talk about, if you go to the main landing page on Joe Rising, you'll scroll down. I'm going to surprise you here in a second. You'll find this book.
Okay.
Jamie, I bought your book. I read your book to my kids, and it was awesome. So I wanted to make sure to plug your book.
You're going to make me cry. Thank you.
Can you talk? I know. Can you talk a little bit about the book? Because we loved it. So
yeah. So Joe, whenever she was first diagnosed, she was in competitive dancing, and doctors told us, even the specialist told us, that she needed to stop, and we took her out, and that devastated her. She's a social butterfly. She's convinced she's going to be famous one day. And I don't know. I believe it. And I think everybody that meets her believes it too. But she went through a moment where it was really affecting her badly. And she always referred to her leg as bad. And it got to a point where I was let me see your bad leg. And then I remember one night she was talking about her bad leg. And I'm like, Joe, it's not bad. Your leg is not bad. You just have to give it extra love and hugs. Other people don't do that. And that's where that story started. And in the book, the doctor, the CLT in it, her name is Dr. Joe. And if you notice, her leg is swollen. And I wanted Joe to be able to see herself beyond lymphedema, to where it does not limit you in any kind of way. You can be a doctor, you can go and help other people with lymphedema or whatever you choose to do. So that's where it came from. And I hope it helps many others, because the kids need that. They need to know they're not alone and they're not defined by it.
Right. But also, I mean, to take that a step further, it's important for others that may not have lymphedema to understand lymphedema. Just to really promote the inclusive space. So
absolutely. 100%. Yeah.
So anyway, the book is called It's Not That Bad, or It's Not Bad. And it's on the main landing page of this website right here, joerising.org.
Yes.
Jamie, yes. I want to be respectful of your time. First off, thank you so much for your time. But before we bid the audience adieu, I want to give you the mic one more time just to share whatever's on your heart.
I just, the ultimate goal is to help children with lymphedema, but also to bring awareness and be an advocate for lymphedema, because in our medical field, not a lot of people have knowledge of it. The medical professionals do not have a lot of knowledge of it, and that whole wait and see cannot be an option, because the damage is being done as you're waiting. So anybody who what I really want to push people to do is start talking. Do your research. Do not let any medical professional make you feel like a Google mom, and advocate for your children. That's the only way things are going to change. And then bring your community in with it, and they're going to help you change the world. I mean, that's what's happening with Joe Rising, because people, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I'm trying not to get emotional, but that would be my last. Just speak up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you said that very eloquently, and it's all a matter of building a community, bringing people together to share those stories and talk about what's going on and just raise awareness. So I say this a lot. We're all better when we work together, and we're better as a community. And when we come together, there really isn't anything we can't accomplish. So
absolutely.
Everyone else that was listening in out there, again, it's Joe Rising. So on social, on Facebook, it's at Joe Rising. Website wise, it's joerising.org. I'll also put this in the show notes to make sure you can find these links. Jamie Stevens.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
It was my absolute pleasure. This was awesome. Everyone else out there, this was another episode of Open Book. I hope you enjoyed it. We will have another one again real soon. So until then, take care.